I think that we strongly need a change in healthcare. And I think that before people actually wake up and realize that it needs to change, that we're going to have to crash before people actually realize. And quite frankly, we're crashing right now, right before everybody's very eyes, right? Many of you people know that in this room because that's why you're here. But I always talk about the people out there, right? The statistics in our country right now are terrible because people don't know what to do different, right? And so you're in a good place because we're going to help you learn how to know what to do different and what things to avoid. And we continue to learn those things. There's things that happened in my life when I was young that my parents didn't know to do any different, right? We can't go back and change those things, but we can make sure it doesn't happen to future generations. Everybody with me on that? Mm-hmm. Right? So that's what we're here for. So we're going to talk about the immune system. Why is this thing going 2 at a time? I'm going to be really mad at it if it does that all night. The immune system, maybe I'll just use it by hand, is where in your body? Everywhere. You ever stop to think about that? Like you can't just point to like your stomach or something. It's like all over the place. But a good portion of it, matter of fact, the majority of it actually lives in your gut. And in your gut, you actually have an organ. It's not a new organ. God knew it was there all along, but just in the past 3 years or so, scientists have now been calling this a new organ. It actually, the gut biome is your healthy bacteria that is everywhere in your body. It's in your digestive tract, it's in your systems inside your cells, it's on your skin, on the outside of your skin. And what have we been telling everybody to do with that, with your skin every day? How many times with what? Antibacterial stuff. So guess what they're doing? They're washing off all your healthy microbiome, all your healthy bacteria that actually fights infection, and we're stripping it. So now this is one thing that's starting to catch up with mainstream media education. As I actually got, I was moving my parents, which is a whole other story, and I got from the facility a piece of paper that had a whole description of why they don't use antibacterials and why they are not prescribing so much antibiotics. Like they had to explain to the people coming in that we're not prescribing so many because we're doing it so much that there's super germs. And I'm thinking, glory, hallelujah, I can't believe they're actually telling people and being aware of this. It's starting to change. But you have your gut biome in your body actually makes up 2 pounds of your body weight. And it's incredible, isn't it? It's actually a thing. It's not something, even though you can't see it, and unless you're looking under a microscope, but the total of it in your whole body makes up 2 pounds. So you have a natural immune system response, and if you stop and think about it, God did not mess up the way He made our immune system work. Our immune system is designed. These guys can you find it here? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The immune system does its job and does it in such an order that we're designed to actually create the things to fight infection when we're exposed to that infection. And it's actually orchestrated beautifully. I have a long video about it, and I chose not to show it to you because I kind of wanted to move through stuff faster, but it's incredibly interesting to see when we get exposed to something, how our body goes to work right away the instant that we get exposed to that, creating the antigen for it. And we don't have to go to the drugstore to get an antigen. As a matter of fact, when you take an antibiotic, it actually makes your body stop making its own antigen because it already thinks it's there. So it doesn't need any more. So because it doesn't make its own antigen, it doesn't remember how to fight this certain infection. So then it actually doesn't know how to fight it the next time it's exposed to that same infection. You get sick again because it doesn't already have the antigen memorized in your body. But if you do it the right way, when you get sick, one sickness at a time, and you get over that sickness without taking something, your body remembers that. And you build an immune system, right? And the way to build an immune system over time is to actually get sick. God designed fever-related infectious disease to happen to who? Children. For a purpose. They got to build an immune system. If we take that away from them, they become adults with weak immune systems. Can you see why we have a problem?
Yep.
Right? It makes all kinds of sense, doesn't it? Inflammation also is a role and a factor in the body. And inflammation is a result of a weakened immune system. Like if your body's not doing the proper things with your immunity, then inflammation actually starts to set in. It's typically a more chronic thing. Inflammation is a healthy thing when you sprain your ankle or you cut yourself, right? Right away when you cut yourself, your tissue inflames and white blood cells go there and kill infection and all the things that happen that make the scab happen and all that, and the skin gets around it red and swollen, right? That's inflammation that's designed to help you. But if you have something chronic going on for a long period of time, inflammation actually causes disease in the body over a long period of time. So we need to have a balance of understanding when inflammation is right, when it's not. So then what is cancer? Well, cancer are actually cells in your body that have mutated in such a way that they literally change the battery inside the cell. It's called a mitochondria. And the battery inside the cell is the thing that actually takes in energy, or takes in food, in the right case is mostly oxygen, and turns it into ATP, which is your energy in your body. And it works when it works on oxygen and it's really healthy. It works like what's a car that gets a lot of miles? The little Prius or something, right? You go a long way on a little bit of gas, right? But if your body mutates into a cancer cells live on sugar. And because they live on sugar, they crave sugar. And because they crave sugar, they actually cause you to have that cell mutate in such a way that then, because there's so much sugar present, it can actually live in your environment that's there. And that mitochondria changes into a Hummer. Eating a lot of gas, not getting anywhere. Right? You follow me? Okay, and so that's why, and can you kind of feel your body different here? Right? Over here in Prius, you're feeling like energized, and over here, you're in a Hummer, and you're, right? Sluggish and slow. So cancer, by definition, is a cell that mutates like that, starts living on sugar, and then there's something called apoptosis. And what that is when a cell has a cell life. It's supposed to be created, it's supposed to do its job for a period of time, then it's supposed to die, then it's supposed to be resorbed back in the body and eliminated through your elimination process. And when it doesn't die, that's the definition of a cancer cell. So it's an old cell that mutates into something that lives on sugar that doesn't die. And your body has an immune system that every single day finds cancer cells. As a matter of fact, today, your body and your immune system killed between 1,000 and 10,000 cancer cells. Go like this. Yay! Yay! Right? So that's exciting that your body knows how to do that. The problem becomes when something is going on in the body in such a way that the cancer cells hide, that your nervous system and your immune system can't work together to find those cancer cells and kill them. That's when you build cancer. Right? So now understanding it a little bit better not only is helpful, but it also explains that it's not just an unlucky straw you drew. Right? It's not just some of the lifestyle things that oops, but it's not just the luck of the draw. It's actually something that we know that causes that to happen. That's empowering, because then that means you can change things to make it not happen, right? By time that you are already diagnosed, what do you already have? Cancer. You already have cancer. When would you like to know how to prevent cancer? Before or after you have it? Absolutely before. As a matter of fact, many times cancers can take over so much that you can't reverse them, right? So you don't want to wait until you already have something that's so far along that it has to be reversed. And many times with cancer tests, as a matter of fact, I'm going to share this with you because I've shared it with many of you in the room already, but we are going to be talking about this too, so I'm going to show you. So this little card, if you can see in the way back row, you can see these little circles on here. These two circles right here are the size of a cell, a cancer cell in a tumor by time it can be detected in mammography for breast cancer. So it has to be that size before it's detectable. Down here, which many of you I hope in the way back can't see that, little teeny tiny red dot, that is the size that a tumor would be in showing up for cancer tumor on thermography. Thermography is a heat sensitive test that is designed to detect cancer cells without radiation. without smashing your breast tissue, which those are the two things that actually actually cause cancer to happen to your breast tissues, exposing it to radiation and smashing it to death. And they know how to do this without that, but guess what? Can't make any money on it.
Right.
So what does that mean?
If you didn't know me and you didn't know this, you wouldn't be able to do something different. The rest of the world out there is being lied to.
Yep.
Plain simple truth, right?
That no? Yeah.
We are, yeah, actually, thank you for asking. I should close that whole statement. The thermography test is something that you can get done. It costs $155. If you go to West Bloomfield to have it done. However, the West Bloomfield office charges $150. If you do it mobile, they charge $155. If we get over 8 people or up to 8 women who want to have that test done here, they'll do it in our parking lot. So we're looking to set up a Saturday of people who are interested in doing that. And if we get enough people interested, we're gonna set it up to do it here in our parking lot. So that's coming up. The other things that we talk about, cancer, like how long do you have to have cancer before you can find out on a test? How about pancreatic cancer? Anybody know how long pancreatic cancer builds in your body before you can find it on a test? Here's some numbers.
A year.
More?
No, 10 years.
More? 30. 30 years. That is why when somebody gets that diagnosis, what do? That's a bad diagnosis, because what happens? Do many people survive pancreatic cancer?
No.
It's a really low one. That's why. 7 to 9%. That's why, because it takes so many years to actually show up on a test, which is a crime. It's a crime, right? Because what we're doing is educating people to be aware by go get your cancer test done, but the cancer tests are not giving us real solutions, and they're already after you already have it. It's too late. 30 years is too late.
Whatever thing you're
Thermography.
talking about. Is it just for breast cancer? Is it just for breast
You know,
cancer?
that's
or is
a
it for
really good
everything?
question. I would have
I mean,
to.
I know my
I'd
body's
have to
scared of
inquire
it.
that. You're probably absolutely right.
And then
That is a really good question, and it's very possible that that's absolutely true. Off the top of my head, I don't know the answer to that
Oh, okay.
question,
Well,
but
that's
I will.
okay.
I'll inquire.
Alright, cool.
And then what you're stuck with then is cancer treatment, right? And what are our choices in cancer treatment? Radiation, chemo, surgery, right? Those are the 3 things. Cut it out, burn it, or poison it. Those are pretty much it. And they have no control over not damaging all the other cells in that process, which is why they have a terrible rate of people actually either surviving from the treatment itself or not having it reoccur. Because what are they doing to change what caused the cancer in the first place with surgery, burning, and cutting? Nothing. I mean, cut, poison, and burn. They're not doing anything to change what caused it, right? What are we about in this office?
Change.
And getting to the cause, right? The cause is a big thing. So then, this is interesting. A little quote that leads into my next slide is, today the survival rate for all types of cancers among adults is 68%. I'm personally not super willing to gamble with 68%. That's not a very good number. I think it's terrible. However, it's not only not a good number, it's a skewed number. Because here's how they calculate that number. They consider you a cancer survivor if you have stayed in remission for 5 years. If you get cancer 5 years and 2 days later, you are still considered a cancer survivor. So that's 68%. Bull crap.
More like
Sorry.
48.
Excuse my French. Right, so you gotta know your risks. So now we're gonna look at the risks. Here they are. Top cancers in the United States. The top cancers are hormone related, which are breast, uterine, prostate, or they're inflammatory related, which are skin, pancreatic, colon, and bladder cancers, or they're toxic related. And toxic related are lung, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, most blood cancers would be like that, and then lung. Did I say lungs already? Yeah. Lungs and your thyroid are and the kidneys. Lungs, thyroid, kidneys, and non-Hodgkin lymphomas, right? And so we're going to break these down a little bit for you too. Because what are the risk factors of cancer? Now, what is one thing I want you to notice on here? The risk factors are lifestyle, your risk factors diet, and your risk factors the environment you're exposing yourself to, if there's like chemical environments and things like that. Anybody see genetics on that list?
No.
Anybody know why? It is not a genetic result. Your risk factor is not a factor based on genetics. So, this is another thing that they do a really good job of trying to lie or scare people into, is to tell you that because you have the gene, you're going to get cancer, so you might as well just cut the thing off now, right? Angelina Jolie.
Yep.
Remember her? What you have in your body is a genetic mechanism that you were born with, that some of you, if you have a cancer gene, you also have a non-cancer gene. It doesn't have anything to do with the gene, it has to do with which one you turn on. Same thing with diabetic. You have a genetic disposition for diabetes, and you have one that says turn off diabetes. You got both those genes are hanging out there. Even if you're diabetic right now, you still have the gene that tells your body to not be diabetic. You should know how to turn it off. Right? So this is empowering because you are not a victim of bad genes. So let's go through a couple of these things. So lifestyle risks. Number one, stress. Right? Now, that's not a conversation about how to have less stress, although that's not a bad idea. But it's also a conversation about how to respond differently to stress. Right? Because some of us create stress between our ears. And you could take two people, they're in the exact same situation, and then one be totally stressed out and the other one be having a party. Everybody remember the old joke, I don't know if I should tell this because it's on Facebook or we're going to post it and it's, had a bad word in it. But about the optimist and the pessimist little boy, and one of them, they're trying to get him to get really excited about something, and the pessimist kid, they go and put him in a room for his birthday present, and in the room is a pony, and he goes in the room and he goes, oh, a pony, now I have to wash it and pick up after it and all this job I have to do. And then they take the optimistic kid and put him in the room with his present, and his present's a pile of poop. And he goes, yay! I know with this much shit in here, there's got to be a pony somewhere. See what I mean? So your stress is really all about how you view stuff and how you choose. That's a choice, right? So guess what? You get to work on changing that. And I'm supposed to also tell you, that's the reason why you want to also change it is not just because of how you feel inside, but because stress actually weakens your immune system and causes inflammation in your body. So there's a purpose behind all that. And it also damages your mitochondria. Remember what your mitochondria is? It's your battery, right? And it lowers metabolism, right? So stress lowers metabolism. What does that mean? Make you gain weight. Right? And it also causes gut issues, digestive issues. Right? So there's some really important factors. I'm glad I put those little notes on there because I would have forgotten to tell you I get so excited about my joke. All right, and then lifestyle risk factor is lack of sleep is another one. How many hours of sleep should you have at night?
7 to 8.
Yeah, 7 to 9 is the number, so 7 to 8 is good. I also want to tell you, every hour that you sleep before midnight counts as 2.
I'm a pro.
Yeah, so, and that doesn't mean you could just sleep from 7 to 8 at night and the before midnight and be good. But I'm just saying, like, in a normal night's sleep, go to bed before midnight. Because it adds to your actual REM cycle and your sleep cycle, right? So it enhances that. There's some other things, although we won't get into a lot of details right now about sleep, but you should be turning off your TV earlier, quit staring at your phone. If you're sleeping with your phone under your head, get it out of the bedroom, because all that radiation is not good for you. Lifestyle risk factor is lack of sunlight. So we don't get enough sunlight. We don't get enough sunlight in Michigan as it is. Right? But when we have an opportunity to get out, like I'll do that to myself sometimes. I'm working too much and I'm here at 8 o'clock in the morning and I don't leave until 8 o'clock at night and I work through my lunch hour. All of a sudden I feel like a zombie because I didn't go outside at lunchtime. right? So take a break, get out, even if it's freezing cold outside, go take some fresh air in, breathe the sunshine, or look at the sunshine. Get as much sun exposure as you can. It's actually really positive for your brain cells too. Lack of physical activity. We know so much about physical activity's benefits to your health right now that you are really an irresponsible adult if you are not exercising. I can't put it any prettier. It's true. It's absolutely true. Exercise raises your immune system. Exercise has been shown to increase your chances of fighting cancer by 80%. Exercise is actually reducing depression and anxiety, right? Better than drugs are doing that. So if you're looking, it also gets rid of joint inflammation. So if you feel like you can't get out of bed because you don't want to go exercise because everything hurts, go exercise anyway, because then you're going to feel better after you do that, right? So you got to push through that stuff. There's too many benefits to exercise to skip it. Another lifestyle risk is carrying around too much extra weight, obesity. And what they find is that people with a BMI over 30 actually have more inflammation in their gut and they have a higher risk of cancer. It's damaging to the DNA of your cells, right? And so that's also, again, time to be, that's funny, that's showing up in there. Time to be responsible, right, about taking on that stuff and looking at the risk factors. A dietary risk factor, too much sugar. It's a big problem. In the standard American diet today, we consume 14% of our dietary intake in the day is sugar. That should be more like, how much protein you're having, not how much sugar you're having. Right? It's a lot. The other problem with that is that you are actually fooled and the sugar is being disguised in the foods and the processed foods that you're eating, because today they don't just use sugar, they use corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup and all these things. They sell you a natural breakfast bar with about 21 different ingredients that are all derivatives of sugar. And you think you're eating something healthy because it's a bar of some kind that says Nature's Plus or whatever, right? So you gotta look at your sugar intake and you gotta turn that off. And some people maybe work a little bit on your sugar intake. Maybe some people aren't really realizing how damaging it is, but sugar actually weakens your immune system for 2 weeks. Every time you take a hit of extra sugar, it's weakening your immune system. So you gotta stop that. And what did we do wrong when I was a kid growing up? When we were sick, what did Mom do?
Sugar.
Give you a big old glass of orange juice,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Popsicle.
Because it's and popsicles, right? Who said that? Oh, Dora. I heard your voice. I couldn't see your face. I said that sounded like Dora. Where is she? So big old glass of orange juice, popsicle. How about burners? Right? We're giving us a bunch of sugar. And so that's just weakening the immune system and prolonging how long you are sick. So what you should do when you're sick is drink water. Coconut water, if anything needs to have flavor or have some, electrolyte thing in it. Coconut water, stay away from Gatorade, full of sugar. And then refined carbohydrates are just as bad as sugar. It's sugar's cousin because it turns into sugar in your body. Refined processed, carbohydrates. So those are things that, they take them the way God made them, and then they process and break it down and break it down and process, and pretty soon it's goo. And we all think it tastes really good, and I won't stand here and deny you that it does. However, it's killing everybody. So we gotta stop doing that stuff. I wrote these percentages up here just so I can remember not to forget to tell you, is that refined carbohydrates actually increase your cancer risk by 88%, and not eating refined carbohydrates actually decreases your cancer risk by 67%. So it's not just I'm going to reduce this 88% that I'm risking, but it actually brings it even better by getting rid of it in the first place. Does that make sense? So it's really, that makes it like 140 or whatever increase, right? If you stop versus, I can't do the math, but somebody else probably did already. All right, dietary risk is vegetable or trans fat, vegetable oils, trans fat oils, processed oils that live on the shelf. If it's an oil that lives on the shelf, it is actually already considered rancid and a damaged fat. And because it's a damaged fat, it causes inflammation in your body. It actually clogs your cells. So like each cell where that little mitochondria is, where things have to get in and out of, is I got a barrier around the outside of it that is actually permeable, so liquids and things can pass back and forth. When you eat trans fats or hydrogenated oils that are damaged oils, it covers and coats the outside of the cells so that things can't get in or out anymore. And when things can't get in or out anymore, this cell on the inside can't get oxygen in anymore, so it has to live on what it has inside the cell. Guess what it has inside the cell? Sugar. So what's this cell going to turn into with more trans fat? Cancer. You guys are good. See? You get this catching on. Oh, I already told you that. Told you before I had my reminder. That was good. Another risk factor is lacking anti-cancer foods. So you want to increase your intake of high cruciferous foods, these broccoli things. If you're one of those people who just hates that stuff, then you should get like a green juice, because we actually have Max Greens. They've actually, Maximize Living's also actually come out with, although we didn't get it yet, but they have it on the website, is a broccoli blend. So if yourself, you hate those kind of things, or your husband won't eat any vegetables, or your son won't eat any, my son, I'm talking about my kid, then you can also supplement that, but you really need to increase. So when you're looking for something to eat during the day, find some crunchy, raw, yummy green vegetables to chew on. Another risk factor in the diet is lacking pre and probiotics. You need to be eating those things, and you need to be eating them from a lot of different sources. So, the what's the tea I drink? Kombucha. Well, you can get those. You got to be careful with kombucha though, because you get some that are really high in sugar, but you can also get some now today that are really nice and low. I'm getting like ones that are 4 and 6 grams of sugar in the tea. And kombucha, I heard you ask, is a fermented drink that's fizzy and pretty tasty, and it's fizzy because it has live probiotics in it. Right. And when you drink those live probiotics, it replenishes your probiotics in your body. We also get those from vitamin. It's really important to get them from different sources, so you should be getting them, some in your food, some in your vitamin. There's actually pre and probiotics in our smoothies, the protein shakes that we do, the whey, not the bone broth, but the whey protein. Yep. And possibly Max Living's bone broth. I'd have to look at that, but I'm not sure whey protein. I probably don't have to spend a whole lot of time here, but I want to talk about the transition here between, first of all, tobacco death in the United States is 480,000 people. I was shocked when I looked at per year. I'm shocked that I looked at that number, because that's like just under heart disease. It's not much less than heart disease. Heart disease is like 680 something. So that surprised me that it was that high, even still today, right? Because you think people know. But then what are we doing instead? What is everybody doing instead? Vaping, a bunch of toxins. I tried to actually do some research on it to find out, and guess what it all said?
No statistics.
We don't know. Yeah. There's absolutely no statistic. We know that people are sucking in plastics, and that it's actually doing some kind of popcorning, burning of their, air cells in their lungs. Yes, and they're still getting the toxin nicotine. But they have no, because it takes 10 years for this number to happen in tobacco, by the way. So, and by the way, vaping has been around for a little longer than 10 years, by the way. It's been probably around for about 50 years. Isn't that incredible? But nobody talked about it until more recently, right? So it's becoming more popular, of course, now. And alcohol is another risk factor. So these would be some easy things to start with if you haven't started there already. And again, I probably don't have to tell you that, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna have a higher risk if you have a glass of white wine once or twice a month, or even once a week. But on a daily basis, your body has to do a lot of work to process the toxins back out, and you're really crushing your liver doing that. So you definitely want to slow that way down. So environmental risk factors. Now we're off diet. What was the first one? Lifestyles, right? And then we went to diet risk factors, and now we're doing environmental risk factors. So environmental risk factors are your plastics. So the PBAs, if you want to make sure you're using plastics that are PBA free. You also want to do things like avoid melting or warming food in this stuff. So if you put like something to go in, and you put hot food on it and it melts into the food, So I'm like one of those people who won't put my, to-go stuff in styrofoam and, drink out of styrofoam, and you gotta like watch the sources of your plastics, and then don't put them in. I don't put anything in a microwave, period. But if you're putting food in plastic or in some styrofoam container in the microwave, that's a really terrible recipe for putting toxic plastics in. So this is one of those things, be aware and change it, right? If you've been doing that already now, change it over. How about glyphosate? Anybody know what that is? It's Roundup. Anybody know what that is?
Oh, the weed killer.
Yeah,
Right.
weed killer. So, I got to ask questions just to see what everybody already knows, but. All right, so I'm reading, obviously I asked you a question about what's on the bottom, right? More than 95% of the United States, corn, cotton, soybean, sugar beets are all treated with herbicides and weed control called glyphosate. Now, that doesn't mean that you just don't eat corn anymore. Like the corn you pull off a stalk and eat that was grown in this country is going to have glyphosate in it. So you don't want to do that. But then look at every boxed processed food, cereals, crackers, Cheese Whiz, right? All these things that we can pick up that have these things in them are going to have soy and corn in them somewhere along the line. Like if you try not to eat corn, you can't eat anything out of a box ever again, unless you buy something that is, non-GMO'd and organic or made without corn on purpose, right? So you have to look for that stuff. So all the stuff that's that processed stuff that lives on the shelf, Cheerios. How many people we've been feeding babies Cheerios for how many decades?
Years.
Right? Cheerios has glyphosate in it. Right?
Our first finger food, right?
Ritz crackers. Same thing.
They're like, aw.
I love it. So I'm trying to make it a reality thing, because as I stand here and say box food, everybody goes, I don't need any box food. But then you go, well, wait a minute.
Yeah, I can see
How
it
about a
in the
Ritz cracker?
cupboard.
How about your cereal, right? I've told probably several of you in this audience before, but for the new people, I'll tell that cereal, they did studies with lab rats and cereal, and to see if they were healthier or not after eating the cereal. And they took a group of those lab rats and fed them the cereal, and the other group fed them the box. Guess which group was healthier? The ones eating the box. So, if you don't want to throw your cereal and just eat the box, stop eating cereal. Bad for you. How about environmental risk of the hormone RBGH, which is a growth hormone that they give commercial fed cows so that they make more milk. They want cows to make more milk so that they can sell you more milk, and it's full of that hormone. Right, need a chair.
Yes, here. You can have this chair.
How about environmental risk factor called sunscreen?
Oh, it's full of fun
Sunscreen
stuff.
is now known to be actually more toxic than the sun you're trying to protect yourself from. Yeah, so you've got to stay away from sunscreen. It is bad for you. There are natural sunscreens to use. I particularly choose not to put any on unless I'm like out there for, like if I'm going golfing, I'm going to be outside for 5 hours straight or something like that. I might push it after the 4th hour, and I would use zinc oxide, which is the good old-fashioned stuff that we surfers used to. I'm not a surfer. Surfers used to use on their nose that stayed white. Remember that stuff? That's not toxic. It's zinc oxide. It's actually a good thing for you.
What about Badger?
But what is that?
Badger.
Is that a brand name? I don't recognize
Has
it.
zinc in it.
I don't recognize it, but here's your homework. Read your sunscreen. Turn the thing over, read the ingredients in it. If it says oxybenzene, oxybenzenoid, oxybenzide, any word with oxyben in front of it that is a cancer-causing agent, throw it out.
Wow.
Don't even give it to your friends or your worst enemy. You give it to enemies.
Come on.
Supposed to love your enemies, so don't give them that either. Just throw throw it out, get rid of it, right? And so what are we doing to our kids today with sunscreen?
Spray.
Oh my gosh, right? They're getting poisoned by it worse than all of us adults are because we think, oh, I don't let that baby get exposed to this thing, right? And so my son is now 14, but when I used to take him to summer school, and when he was, he's always mad at me because he was 10 and he had to go to summer school, right? So I took him, and it's like daycare, they play fun stuff. They do fun stuff. And so I took him, I'm there for a couple years in a row, and we used to, have him on the no sunscreen list. Like, they actually have you sign a thingy that says, like, if you can put sunscreen on your kid, and I sign, like, no, you can't. Like, sign, like, no, don't put sunscreen on my kid. And then we used to go drop them off, and we'd go drop them off, like, sometimes they'd be outside already, and we'd have to, like, walk into the building past this pile of kids that were all getting sprayed with the convenient, and there's this dust cloud of the most disgusting chemical, whatever, and Jacob and I are like, well, we're not walking through that, we actually, like, went all the way around this dust pile, and thinking, like, oh my gosh, I feel sorry for all those people who have no clue. I mean, and once you know and you're aware of it, smell the stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell right. It shouldn't be something we're putting on our skin, right?
Don't smell it.
So,
Make
bad
it
stuff. Don't do it.
Plum.
Okay, so we are up to a point where I want to direct you a little bit in your little bookie here, because we're going to do some things. Oh, I'm right on time, or I'm sort of on time. I'm close to on time. You have inside, so we're going to take a little bit of break for a bit, and give you an opportunity to kind of check some things out. But one of the things you have in the front few pages of your handouts in your folder is this is my copy, is a BMI chart, right? And what you're going to do with your BMI chart is find your number. I think it's really important to know your number. It might not be, you don't have one of these?
I don't have
You
it all.
get a whole book?
No.
We have a couple people missing folders. We come pass them out. But when they come, put your hand up, they'll bring them to you. So your BMI chart, you want to calculate your number, and then once you calculate your number, that's going to be part of one of the questions at the beginning of this health risk survey. So then what you're going to have available to you is to take this health risk survey. Now, taking this health risk survey is going to take longer than the 10 minutes. You get it? Yeah, one more minute. Take longer than the 10-minute break that we're going to take. So I don't want you necessarily to be filling all this out right now. But I do want you to look at your BMI number, figure it out, fill it in on here, and answer these two first questions so that you know where you're at with that. And then at the end, we are going to be talking about a 30-day challenge. And this is going to help you determine if you should be on the 30-day challenge or not. Because the last page then gives you the answer key. Like, if your answers are mostly this color, like, you'll add them up, right? You guys can handle this stuff, right? All right, so before we go on the break, I want to do two things. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. While we're on the 10-minute break, we have doTERRA is here, and so is Norwex. Some of you already met Norwex person. We also have the Connecticut water guy left some of his pamphlets and stuff. We're going to be talking about that stuff in the second half. We're talking about toxins. Anybody else need a folder? Who didn't get one? We're good. And then what we want you to do is go visit those guys, see what they have. They're actually here because I use their stuff. They're not here because I don't use their stuff. As a matter of fact, you can't be here as a provider for you guys if I don't already pass the buck from making sure this is something we want everybody to use. Okay? So I have the Norwex stuff in my house. I use it all the time in my kitchen. It does amazing things with grease, which I love to cook with coconut oil, and boy does it clean up my countertop and my stovetop without having to use any cleaning products, which is very cool. And I actually want to talk to you and get ordered, I want a makeup remover. Oh. So I'm pretty excited about that too. So they have actually makeup removers that you use nothing, no chemicals, just water to clean up, right? Yeah. You can do that, right?
That's how I wash my face for you.
So it's pretty cool stuff. She also has a door prize. So if you go over to her table and you put your name in her drawing, at the end we're going to draw a name of somebody gets to win a packet from that. And then we have, are you using our raffle tickets or for your, do you do a door prize? Just my ticket. So, and then you guys also have your own raffle ticket. We're going to be doing those towards the end. right now, oh, and one more thing, if you are a patient here and you've ordered from us before and you know, because tonight is a special night that you get to have 15% off our products. If you already know what you're getting and you fill out your form, you can turn your form in, and while we're doing the second half, they'll work on your order for you, so you don't have to wait in line again. Cool biz? Everybody get that? Okay, so here's my questions. I have two little giveaways. Where are my giveaways? Lotion, please. Alright, so the first one I'm going to ask is, who can tell me the 3 categories of risk factors for cancer? Put your hand up and tell me the 3. Go.
Lifestyle, diet, and environment.
Good
Good
job.
girl.
Alright.
Yay! Lemon or
This
lavender.
for sleeping.
Okay, there you go. Okay, and the next one is, name a toxin in sunscreen. Yes.
Oxybenzone.
Yes, you got it. There you go. So they both got some organic lotion with some essential oils in it. Some prizes there. And then one more surprise for everybody. Look underneath your seat. And if you are a winner, you can have a prize stuck to the bottom of your seat. Have her get down there. You gotta feel free. All right, there we go. There is one. There's another. Okay, there's like 5 or 6 out there. You got one? Good job, guys. So your present's inside. The envelope is just to stick it to the wall. We did one. Did you get them all? I don't know. There should be 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we got them all. All right, so thank you guys. So we do have some coffee available. We're doing snacks now. No, you're gonna do it at the end. So now this is the part where you get up and come on over here. I did already. I told him. I did not tell them this. I'll do it when I get to that slide. We have snacks over here too. Foods for you to try.
Since you're coming out, I'm gonna come out too. I'll stay out for a while. I'll stay out every day. That's okay.
10 minutes goes fast. Okay. There's bathrooms here, there's a bathroom over in that room, and there's a bathroom through that door, so we got 3. Okay, there we go. Okay. There's snacks over there, and they're all healthy snacks. I don't serve anything but healthy snacks.
How are you? You really do.
I made the chocolate chip cookies without egg. You did? There you go.
Without egg, you can have one. Way back here. Then I do flour in it and you went, what? No. I'm going to do this. It's going to be helpful. Good.
Using that one. We'll check this one. Somebody in this bathroom back here too.
said you help with, associate with over.
Well, yeah, maybe more like.
I feel it all out. I just started to ride. I don't know, stop eating. I really won't eat no. That sounds good. If I'm gonna be honest, you can't eat a regular chicken. I run my I'm a war. This days out my life. I expect you let me get it. Did you take
I never went anything.
Okay, 2 minutes. Make sure you get your name in. We're gonna get started, so calm back over. My music stopped. Oh no.
Oh, no, no.
You may want to run in place. Yeah. Oh. Make sure you're awake. Doing a little max T3. Jogging and moving. Get the oxygen flowing.
I'm filling out my survey.
Okay, good. Can't run and do that.
Yes, you can.
Left, right. Right? Should be a mess.
All you gotta do is do next.
All right, make your way back over.
That was a lot of fun. Did you get some?
I did. It was good stuff. Cookies
The
and
best stuff.
excellent.
Because I watch what I eat. I watch TV. That's how much I watch.
That good, huh?
And nobody here does not have time for no press at all. Because I don't have no time for that.
No. I understand. I agree wholeheartedly.
That's not how life is.
Not at all.
I I like sugar.
I took, you know what, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Do you have a seat?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Alright, come on back, let's go! I know the best way to get you back over here. Feel the music. Oh, now you have to come back. Alright, here we go, Pete.
Okay.
Mark.
Yeah, I'm back in the back.
Oh,
Forget it. Yep. Excuse me.
Yeah, we'll still have leftovers left over. There may not be any cookies left. It'll be pumpkin bread. Alright, come on back. Let's see.
Is that in the line book?
Be pumpkin bread?
Did that so she could get it in now for us.
But she has a
Thank
copy
you.
of it out there. You can just take a picture of it with your phone if you want to. That's smart.
Still okay?
Is it in Eat Smart Meals? The pumpkin bread? So Eat Smart Meals is another resource. Okay, come on back. Doing good. Everybody good?
Oh, yeah.
Ready to roll? Okay. So we have 5 essentials, and we just got done kind of talking about what the problem is and where the environment risk factors and the diet factors, all that kind of stuff. Now we're going to talk about what to do to prevent them, right? So now here's your action keys of going forward. So I look at nutrition first. Now nutrition, there, of course, so we want to stay away from sugar. And that means all kinds of sugar. So sometimes I say to people, don't eat sugar, and then they go, and honey too? Sorry, I just getting out of the aisle. And I go, yeah, honey too. Because, now, there's some space for a little bit of honey if you're not fighting a disease or trying to reverse a sickness or disease, or if you're not trying to lose weight, or if you're not trying to come off any medication. But if you're trying to do any one of those 3 things, you shouldn't be using any sugar, period, end of story, whether God made it or man made it. Okay? Cancer, sugar also feeds cancer, which we talked about earlier. It weakens your immune system. We covered that. It stresses out your metabolism, so it makes you store fat. It actually raises, stores fat more in your gut area, in the middle part of your section. And it raises inflammation in your body. So if you have trouble with inflammation, achy joints, that kind of stuff, that gets worse when you eat that kind of stuff. Some of you may even notice if you have area that bothers you, that if you have some ice cream before you go to bed, when you get up the next morning, it hurts, and then you don't connect the dots. So I'm telling you this right now so you pay attention to it, because that's what's actually bothering, to like all of a sudden show up. It's usually something you ate the day before. Okay? Everybody comfortable? Everybody too hot, too cold? Okay, good. So here's some anti-inflammatory diet foods. This might be a picture taker. I'll stand to the side if you need to do that. But so things that prevent cancer and bring down inflammation in the body. Tomatoes, olive oil, avocados, green leafy vegetables including spinach, kale, collard greens, nuts like almonds and walnuts are anti-inflammatory. Fatty fishes. I even put our anchovies and sardines on there because those are really good for you. The smaller the fish is, and wild caught, the more concentrated and healthy oil there is in there. And then low sugar fruits, so strawberries, blueberries, green apples. Actually, I was looking today just out of curiosity because one of the other articles that I saw when I was making my slides said one of the cancer and anti-inflammatory fruit was cherries, and it's because of its nature of its antioxidant, because it's a cherry, like pomegranates and cherries, those kind of stuff. And then I went, well, that's an anti-inflammatory fruit, and I was thinking, geez, it sounds like a really high glycemic number that would be the opposite of that. So I looked it up, and strawberries are actually only 2 grams of sugar, and green apples were at 1.3, and blueberries was like 0.1 something or another. They were all really low glycemic numbers, and cherries were 12. Right. Well, they got a lot of sugar in them, though, unfortunately. So while something might have that antioxidant color to it, it's not something to have a daily party on, if you know what I mean, right? Ma'am. Raspberries too. I'm sorry I didn't put them on there. Any kind of berry. Strawberry.
You can eat mustard and
Yes, you can. She wants to know if she can have mustard and turnip greens. You can. But it depends on how you cook them. True.
That's fine.
You can't cook them in
Bacon.
Crisco and bacon and that kind of stuff.
the grapeseed oil. You can put the grapeseed oil in them, like.
Well, my preference would be coconut oil because coconut oil lasts better in hot foods. Like it doesn't get damaged as easily. Grapeseed's okay. Avocado oil is good for warming up. And I don't even have a problem with raw organic butter. Good old fashioned butter. Right? But not margarine. Okay. Alright. Next slide. So there's two plans that we talk about with Maximize Living is a core plan and an advanced plan. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking or answering questions about core plan, but the core plan introduces and includes some whole grain foods, which are okay as long as you're not one of those three people I mentioned before, trying to lose weight, coming off of medication, or trying to reverse a disease. Right? If you're one of those three things, you want to stay away from grains, period, end of story, which brings us to the advanced plan. A lot of people like to live on the advanced plan. I'm one of them. And you can live on the advanced plan. You don't die, by the way. Anybody, there's a couple other of you here who live on the advanced plan. Yeah. Okay, so you're allowed to have a weekend, right? But you still pretty much live on it if you're even having a weekend. So advanced plan is no grains. And then next to this we have the word gluten-free. I put that in there also to remind myself that gluten-free doesn't necessarily mean no grains. Because rice doesn't have any gluten in it, and it's a grain. And tapioca starch, which is what a lot of gluten-free foods are made with, is a grain. And it's also something that causes inflammation in your body and turns into sugar in your body, right? So you can get gluten-free stuff that still is a refined carbohydrate that then will still turn into sugar in your body, make you gain weight and not reverse disease.
Do they have a little more definition of these on their website than that?
Of definition of the core of the advanced plan, or
what that
definition of
actually
no
means?
grains.
No grains, what many healthy fats means. and
There
that's
are
very generic.
definitely some more details. I'm certainly going to pour you the basics in this. The one thing to understand about the advanced plan is there are some basics to understand about things to avoid, and then on our website is a ton of recipes, and our recipes have an A marked for advanced plan and a C marked for core plan, so you can know what kind of recipe that is. A lot of them are advanced plan oriented, and then there's a few core in there, but most of them are advanced. And it's also in your Align book, the whole back end of your Align book, which is in your home care kit. Remember that book?
It's a great book.
It is a great book. Right, so those recipes, and there's a whole chapter on advanced plan in that book. Right, so you got lots of resources. So you want to eat lots of healthy fats and get rid of damaged fats. So stop eating damaged fats. Now, stopping eating damaged fats, I'm also guilty of, because it is way easier and more convenient sometimes to eat at a restaurant. Anybody else give me an amen over that?
Amen.
Right, and what do they use in a restaurant?
Damaged
Damaged
fats.
fats. Right, fats that are living on the shelf a lot longer, right? And so, you know, no matter what you do, those have to become vacation meals, and the focus of the time of what you're eating has to be stuff you're making at home so that you're putting your own ingredients in. I'm the total dork at my Bible study. I show up with my own food. They got crap all over the table, and they're eating donuts and caramel apples and all kinds of stuff this time of year, and I'm over here eating my salad and my, you know, right? So you just got to take it with you. You got to plan ahead. You got to know what you're going to, and you got to take your own stuff and just take care of you.
It gets
Right?
easier.
It does get easier. Naturally raised animal proteins is going to be grass-fed cows, because that's what God designed cows to be, grass-fed, not injected with hormones and toxins and the antibiotics that or hormones that make them produce more milk. Want to avoid all that stuff. So your meat should be grass-fed and organic. There are such things as organic meats in some stores that are not grass-fed, like Kroger and Costco sells their ground beef as an organic beef. It is not fed grass, it's fed grain. So when you hear grain-fed animal, and think about the fact that I just told you not to eat grain because it makes you sick, what do you think the grain does to an animal? It makes them sick, because they're not supposed to be living on, they're supposed to be living on grass, right? And so you want to do that with animal foods. If you can't afford to eat grass-fed organic beef and red meat, don't eat red meat. Organic chicken is also the next thing you want to do, and then wild-caught fish, not farm-raised. Everybody get that? Oh, okay. I can smell it all the way over. And then you want to stay away from high sugar fruits. So on the advanced plan, you're only doing berries and green apples. And you can also use grapefruit, but mostly berries and green apples, which you want to focus on. And then no sugar added to anything. Your sugar sources should be stevia, and we like to use sweet leaf. Sweet leaf is sold in liquid or granular style, so depending on how you'd like to add it to your stuff. And then for baking, we use Swerve. Swerve is a combination of erythritol and stevia. And you gotta be careful with some products out there because there are some stevias being sold with dextrose in it, and that's sugar. So then they're selling sugar and.
What about stevia in the raw? They use that for baking.
It's that has stuff in it when you read it. I can't remember off the top of my head if it's dextrose or something else, but it has an additive in it. And all the raw products are actually phony. It's just a brand name. So like even sugar in the raw has caramel coloring in it to make it look brown.
Wow.
So the brand I don't like.
What about the?
What about monk fruit?
Yeah, we just
Good question. I like the fact that it's low glycemic. If you get a good clean source of it without a bunch of added stuff in it, I would use it every once in a while. And I think it's not a bad idea. Like I was talking to somebody at the break, I think it was you, about changing up things that we do, right? And so it's not a bad idea to do swerve sometimes and monk fruit sometimes and right switches and things around. Xylitol also was something that we were recommending people use frequently, but xylitol got kind of messed up by the marketing manufacturing world because they caught wind that people were trying to do xylitol to stay away from sugar, and they started producing it with corn. So xylitol is now mostly made from corn, and it's a damaged sugar. Anybody else back there have a question about that? Yep.
I had a question about the meat portion of it. I know that you guys do, well, you guys
Our
do the
farm
farm
thing.
thing.
Yep.
Is that why you guys do the farm?
Yeah,
Okay,
that is why, and it's cheaper.
it is.
When you buy stuff grass-fed and organic, you're usually spending, I don't know, it's like about what, $6 or $7 a pound, and we're paying like $5.50. And then when you do a bulk amount, you do get a discount because we're in a co-op. Yeah.
So where do you get it for $5 a pound?
From our co-op, we do orders every month. When the next one's coming up? Do you guys have a date? We just did it last weekend, so in 2 weeks from now, it should be time to put your order in, and then it'll be sometimes before Thanksgiving. I know that it's like the second week in November or something like that. Unfortunately, you can't order turkeys anymore because they're all gone.
Wow.
Like they're still running around the farm, but they're all tagged with somebody's name. That's a little gross, isn't it? Okay, so supplements. So when we're talking about nutrition, we also have to talk about how we're going to supplement some things, because while you can eat really great choices or make great choices about food, we're not necessarily getting all the right vitamins out of our food today. As a matter of fact, if you eat even an organic apple that's, non-GMO'd and all this clean, perfect apple, and compare it to an apple that was actually grown back in 1945, you would have to eat 3 of the apples today to have the equivalent of the nutrition that was in an apple in 1945. That's because we've depleted the soil so much that we don't have enough nutrients back in our food. So then we, wonder why do I have to take vitamins? It's because our food is really nutrient depleted. Vitamin C is an important vitamin for preventing cancer. and you should make sure that you have ample amounts of that. I usually recommend that people do 2,000 milligrams a day on like a daily basis, and then if you're sick, you want to increase that. And the only thing to warn about vitamin C is that you don't want to take it all at one time. Like, you usually don't want to exceed 1,000 milligrams in an hour, but it goes through you pretty quickly, so you don't have to wait any longer than that. We do have a daily essential bundle on your kit today, on your order form, and these are the basic things that we recommend for just preventing sickness and disease and keeping your body overall healthy. In the modern world that we have today, you should be taking a multivitamin, and our vitamins are all whole food and non-synthetic. So if you're using a multivitamin that's like a Centrum or a One A Day, those are things that are artificial nutrients in it. So they're actually synthetic, which means they're chemical makeup of vitamins that normally should be coming out of food. And so when your body takes it, it doesn't know how to absorb it, and you're actually getting nothing out of it but, maybe a harder time passing it through, if you know what I mean. Where your absorbable vitamins are the whole food vitamins. So we do a multivitamin. We also do a B complex. I love this B complex. It's actually a relatively new one to Maximize Living. It's a delayed release B complex, and it's really important for stressed people. I'm one of those, so I take this every day. I don't ever miss. Optimum Omega will help reduce inflammation in your body, and it's already great for brain health. So you got to feed your brain with oils. One of the reasons why we're having a generation right now of having trouble with dementia and Alzheimer's is because 30 plus years ago, almost 50 years ago, they started telling people to reduce fat and be on a low-fat diet. Anybody in this room think or know or still working on low fat? You got to change that over, because low fat is actually bad for you. You need healthy fats, and you need healthy fats for your brain. So they told my parents, and I remember the day that we switched the milk. Anybody else remember that day? When you went from whole milk to skim milk? I was so mad. I did not like it.
Tasted like water.
But we were raised on skim milk, and I remember when they told my parents to stop, giving everybody fat. And by the way, skim milk is actually lower in fat but higher in sugar, because when they take the fat out of milk, it increases the sugar in it. Just the way God made it. Pull the fat out, boom, there's all sugar concentrated left over. Right, so what they did was these generations of people now all have not enough fats in their diet, and they got brain damage, dementia, Alzheimer's, you name it. Vitamin D, also really important for cancer fighting. They've actually put cancer in a petri dish with vitamin D3 and watched it kill the cancer. You gotta have enough D3 in your body. Enough D3 in the United States today, if you go to your medical doctor and you get a blood draw and they go, your D levels are great, they are telling you that they're great if they're only at blood serum levels of 40. They found in research that they fight cancer if you have blood serum levels of 70 to 90. So you can't just take the doctor's word for it. You have to look at your blood test, find out what your blood serum levels are, and if you're not even near 70 or 90, you should be taking 10,000 milligrams of D3 a day, and you take 5,000 just to maintain it, which one of our tablets 5,000. So if you're a depleted D3 person, or you've had your blood tested, you know that, you should double that. And then magnesium. Magnesium is really important for metabolism, for energy, for sleeping well at night. This also is something that helps keep people regular, if you know what I mean, right? And so that's a really important mineral that you need in your body. Okay, so now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about core chiropractic. I don't think I have a guest in here, do I? Is everybody a patient? Anybody not a patient in this room? All right, cool. I love how you talk to my posse, right? I'm talking to my posse. So I'm going to share with you a brand new educational video. It's so exciting because the last convention that I just went to when we were in Orlando, we listened to a neuroscientist who's a chiropractor who studied the neurology of what actually happens in your body when you get a chiropractic adjustment. I'm so excited for you to watch it. I have goosebumps from head to toe. Just watch.
We know that your brain receives information about your body from the environment, from your sensory organs, such as your eyes, your ears, and your nose. But did you know that the muscles in your body are also sensory organs? As your body moves, muscles stretch, and this information is sent to your brain so that it knows what your body is doing. When you think of muscles, you probably think of your biceps and triceps. You won't necessarily think of the small muscles close to your spine and skull. These small muscles do in fact play a very important role. They tell your brain what your spine is doing, which represents what
Writing
the whole of
reflex?
your body is doing.
Head
But
weights.
if your spinal segments begin to move in a dysfunctional way, for example due to an injury or bad posture, that communication between your spinal muscles and your brain becomes distorted, which means you have a communication breakdown between your brain and your body. If your spinal segments aren't moving correctly, it may cause background noise for your brain, or your brain might not get adequate information about what's happening in your body, and will therefore have to fill in the blanks. Let's explore an analogy. Imagine for a moment that you've lived in a house all your life, and that in this house there's a long dark corridor with no windows. At the end of the corridor is an electrical fuse box. Now imagine that the circuit breaker to the lights has blown, and you're pitched into complete darkness. Would you be completely helpless? Or could you walk down that corridor and turn the circuit breaker back on? Of course you could. You've lived there all your life. You would know roughly how long the corridor was and how wide it was. You would be able to get down there and turn the lights back on. Your brain is just as smart as that. It can function even if there's parts of the body that it cannot see. It will be able to function and control those parts of your body because of its past experience. But now imagine that before those lights went out, your kids had left a bicycle in that long corridor that you had not seen. What would happen in that scenario? You would likely fall and hurt yourself. And this is what happens when the brain is not fully aware of what is going on somewhere in your body or in your environment. You could end up having an accident or hurt yourself. This is where your chiropractor comes in. A chiropractor will gently adjust any dysfunctional spinal segments, or what they call vertebral subluxations, to restore healthy movement. This can improve the communication between your brain, your body, and the environment. It's a lot like rebooting a computer. When your brain can accurately perceive what's going on inside and out, it can better control your body for the situation at hand and move muscles in the right order. This means your body moves accurately, you have fewer accidents, and you can function and perform at your best.
Woohoo! Isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
Now, take that conversation and turn it into this. What did we talk about earlier? What did your body do today? How many cancer cells did your body kill today? Yep, good answer. What happens if it couldn't see it anymore? It builds it, right? It still kills cancer cells. I heard somebody say it still does it because it remembers. But it has to fill in the blanks. And it fills in the blanks with wrong information. It doesn't know how to do its job anymore. And there's actually signals that are telling the T cells there's something wrong here. We better get rid of that type of cell. And then if it doesn't get the right signal, it doesn't tell it to get rid of that cell, and it all goes round and round and round. I mean, it's all run by the nervous system. So the truth of the matter is, do you want to prevent sickness and disease in your body? You gotta get your power turned on, right? Everybody get that?
Yep.
And it's so exciting because it's not just having a conversation about, you know, how your muscles work and falling, but it's literally how your body operates and senses everything in your body. How it digests food, how it processes the energy that you're creating, how every hormone and gland secretes everything that your body does so much, so perfectly. God designed it to work so perfectly that we can't duplicate how it actually needs to work properly, right? But your body knows how to do that. You just have to get reboot, right, and turn your power back on. So that's a little reminder to also do your home care. Right? Do your home care. Oxygen and exercise. I said earlier, you gotta exercise. And exercising doesn't necessarily mean you do the same thing every day. You try to mix it up. And we also do surge training, so it also doesn't have to be hours of jogging on a treadmill. You can do a surge exercise with, running or lifting resistance weights or doing a Zumba class. You can ride a bicycle. You can do lots of different things. We also like to see in the Max T3 portion of your book or online, if you look up the details on that, everybody who got a book in the office in your home care kit has an insert in there that has a Max T3 workout download. And it's a digital download that you have the passcode to load into your computer and watch how to do a Max T3 workout. And it's not just one workout, there are 6 different workouts, and there's 2 different levels of workout, slow and fast. And then those 2 different levels have 3 different people doing them in 3 different levels, so you can't get bored. Right? So go back to good old fashioned doing your Max T3 workout. Sometimes switch it up. Even if you do nothing else and walk for 30 minutes, that's better than sitting on the couch doing nothing. Right? So you gotta keep moving. Minimizing toxins. We talked about some toxins to avoid earlier. We talked about plastics and those kinds of things. I like to throw out a couple of everyday other things like antiperspirant. Has aluminum in it and it causes cancer. So quit using that. You should be using instead a deodorant and a natural deodorant, so it doesn't have any toxins in it. We talk about formaldehyde and where formaldehyde is, certainly in the chemicals in vaping. There's also formaldehyde in commercial decaf coffee. Now, we use organic decaf coffee here, and places like Starbucks water process their decaffeinated, but if you buy a can of like decaf instant coffee or Maxwell House decaf coffee, that is decaffeinated with chemicals. Formaldehyde is the chemical. So you have to go out of your way to find decaf coffee that's water processed, which means the decaf at 7-Eleven, don't do. Teflon pans. Anybody still using Teflon pans? Nobody. Okay, that's good. Right, or you don't want to talk about it, right? The toxins get released into your food if you cook Teflon. And the studies show that if you have a canary in your kitchen while you're cooking with Teflon, the canary dies from the fume, from the smoke that comes out of the Teflon. Yeah, kills birds. Microwaves also damages foods. Everybody want to know more about microwaves? Okay, it's okay to ask. That's good. So microwaves tear apart. They literally warm the food from the inside out, and they molecularly deconstruct the food and put it back together again. And when it gets molecularly deconstructed and put back together again, it is no longer food. It now becomes a toxin. And they did studies on lab rats again, and they fed the lab rats only microwaved food, and the lab rats got big, huge, giant cancer tumors all over their body. Right? So they got very sick and died because all they ate was food out of a microwave. So microwaves are bad. And you take your perfectly good money-paid food that you go out of your way to get organic, beautiful food and put it in a microwave and ruin it. I'd rather eat it cold, right, than have to have it warm up like that. Processed preservatives. How about sprays and perfumes? Those are also full of toxins. So perfumes, while they smell great, they have chemicals in them, alcohols and all kinds of other chemicals that are bad for you to breathe in, bad for your lungs, or toxic, right? Okay, so there's a lot of different places. So the other thing I wanted to give you was inspire you about the ways that we avoid that kind of stuff. Your water, if you're also drinking tap water on a daily basis, that's also full of chemicals. There's fluoride, chlorine, heavy metals, and lots of other different toxins. I had Brian come to my house and do our water testing, and I have Detroit Water System at my house. And we had over 101 different, I think it was 151 chemical toxins in our water. And so we got a filtration system on our house. And one of the reasons why we ended up doing it on the whole entire house is because you go out of your way to drink bottled water and then or distilled water instead. But when you take a shower, one shower that's 15 minutes long is the equivalent of drinking 8 8-ounce glasses of water while you're standing in the shower. So you're still absorbing it in the shower through your skin. Right? And you will be really excited to notice how nice a shower is without all the toxins in it. Because it's refreshing and clean. And I can tell when I go out of town and then the water, is like hard and chemically and terrible. So Connecticut offers for people that, if you call them and tell them that you're from our office, they will come in and do a free water evaluation. And they have different things available where you don't have to do your whole entire house. You can do just a filtration system at your sink, and then have your water. And it's way cheaper than living on your bottled water that you're buying instead. So if you're interested in doing something like that. The Norwex, as you guys know and saw, is all stuff that you can use. The rags do the job, and you don't have to add chemicals to it, so it takes away chemical cleaning in your house. And then I talk about doTERRA stuff because it also helps you to be able to alleviate some symptoms, maybe help you through some rough patches while you get rid of medications in your body. It's a whole lot better and more natural to use these kind of things. On Guard I put up here because it's one of the things we use for immunity function. On Guard is one of the blends that doTERRA uses, and it naturally kills infections and bacteria. It's also the thing that we clean the house with and clean things with. I wash my hands with. That's what we use, for not using antibacterial stuff, but still keeping a clean environment naturally. So those are all good things to use. The other thing, we are going to do a 30-day challenge. So on one of your packets, if I don't think I have that page. You guys got a little handout. Yes, you do. It looks like this. You have this and you have this. Two little guys. So this one handout right here is for the 30-day challenge. We kind of forgot to cut these up and put little tiny ones in your folder. So now you have a big one instead. And what we'd like you to do is to write on here your name and that you want to do the challenge. And you're going to leave the rest of it blank because we're going to weigh in on Monday. But what you're going to do is either bring this with you on Monday, or what do you want them to do? Give it to you now or bring it Monday? Okay, so you're going to fold this thing in half and tear it. Look, it's not that hard. You just do like, fold it in half. And then you have your name on it, and then you're going to turn into the staff so they know that you're going to do the 30-day challenge with us. The 30-day challenge is something that is part of your ticket that got you here. And if you're here as a VIP or you had a free ticket of some kind, you want to do the 30-day challenge with this, it's just $20. We do that because we also have other events that we do in addition to this. So it takes a little bit extra time to do the 30-day challenge. But what you get with the 30-day challenge is not only some support from us, kind of when you tell more than one person you're going to do something, you're more apt to follow through and do it because you told somebody else, because we're more committed to other people than we are to ourselves. Okay, amen for that? Yeah. Amen. And we also have a Tanita scale, and that scale is a scale that reads your fat versus muscle in your body. So it's not just how much you weigh, but it's the percentage of body fat and then muscle that you have. And it calculates then, based on your body size and the amount of visceral fat that you have and how much muscle mass you have, your actual body's age. Which is a pretty interesting little test. Because what happens is you might be 26, but your body thinks it's 62. Right? And so what you want to do is be aware of that. And this, when we start the challenge on Monday, you can come in and do weigh-ins on that, and that's part of the challenge. Then we want to encourage you to do the advanced plan. Equip yourself with some protein shakes or whatever you have to do the weight loss. Do some XT3 workouts through the time. We are having on November 7th the Shop with the Doc is happening, and we're doing that at the new Kroger on 13 Mile and Shaner, which is pretty exciting. Everybody go, isn't that exciting? To make sure you're still awake. Anybody been there yet? No. Oh my gosh, it was so busy. I went on the opening day. It's really big, and oh my gosh, I parked in the car. It was amazing. So it's really fun. It's big and it's cool. And we're actually thinking about doing three. We're doing 3 times. We have 3 opportunity times that we want to try to get a survey from you guys about what time would work best for you. So if you could actually, do you want him to turn this in too? Okay, so you're going to circle a time that works best for you for the Shop with the Doc. and turn it in. My plan is to try to do 2 things, but I don't know if people can get there at noon or 10 o'clock, but it really would be good to do during the day if we could, because it wouldn't be as crowded.
It's on this handout.
Oh, thank you. It's on this handout. Sorry, I don't know my directions. This handout is for you to keep so that you know what's going on. This handout is for you to turn into us and tell us what you're coming to. Does that make sense? Yep. Okay, cool. I had a little funky. So the times are on here too. So circle a time that you would be best for Shop at the Dock, and then we'll take a survey and we'll know what time we have to do that. And then the recipe night is also a blast. That's a celebration night, and it's also like a potluck, but it's all advanced planned food. What? It's a pot blessing. Okay, it's a pot blessing. Where you will get assigned or get to pick from our list of recipes a recipe that you're going to bring, and then everybody else will bring a recipe, and we'll have 30 or so different recipes for everybody to try, and it's a blast. It's absolutely very much fun. We talk about some of the challenges of learning to cook the different ways and how to cook the different ways, so we kind of walk through some of the recipes, and it's just a lot of fun. So please join us for that. That is on November 14th, and it'll be here at the office. Okay? Okay. I have a couple other slides. What time is it? 8:29. Are you guys okay?
8:20. Yep.
No? Everybody dying? I also want to do one more little thing that we didn't actually do a whole lot of yet, but I wanted to talk a little bit about mindset. So when we're talking about doing a challenge, sometimes it seems a little bit like, I don't know if I want to do a challenge, and if I say I'm going to do a challenge, then I got to do the challenge, and then I don't know if I want to do
Glass
the
half
challenge.
empty, let's
Anybody feel like
change it
that?
to full.
Right? Huh?
I said glass half empty, let's
That's
change
right.
it to full.
So we want to try to help carry you through a process of learning, and learning takes practice, and learning, requires that you show up and maybe even mess up a couple times and then get back on the wagon, right? That's what we do around here. So we want to change our mindset a little bit and have an attitude of gratitude, right? Everybody's heard that one before. Practice reframing yourself. I love this because this is something I have to practice. So sometimes I start to hear myself say something negative or say something in maybe a not so pleasant way to talk about something, and then I have to go, oh, I didn't mean to do that. Let's talk about this instead, right? Or change the way that I'm framing, right? Framing means how you're perceiving it and what you're delivering it with, right? And then maintaining healthy relationships. Who you hang out with is going to really determine how your outcomes are, right? And so I teach my kids that stuff, but that's important for us adults too, right? And I tell you, I love being around people who think like I do, and you guys maybe do the same thing. It's kind of hard going to Bible study when you're the only one eat healthy, right? Everybody else is eating different, right? So it's kind of fun to actually be together. That's why we do the Shop with the Doc and the recipe nights, because you get more encouraged by other people being around you doing the same thing. We don't manage stress when we're focusing on mindset. We manage peace. What does that mean? If you manage stress, it's kind of like saying, I'm going to manage my poorness. No, you don't manage poorness. You manage your finances, right? So we focus on the positive thing, not the negative thing. So we're going to manage peace. That means you actually have to choose peaceful times of the day to actually do things that are peaceful. Concept. Peace is not going to just knock on your door and land on you. Right? You have to go choose it and look for it and choose joy. Right? That's an important thing. And then know yourself and know your stressors. This is a little bit about what we talked about, the noise between your ears. Right? How you decide to respond to something. You might have to practice responding to something. Something might come at you that you first respond to, and then you go, oh, wait a minute, I don't know if I wanted to respond like that. What if I responded like this? Right? And sometimes journaling those things that you know for yourself to be true. And then things that you fear the most, action is the antidote for it. Think about something that you're fearful to try or fearful to do, and write down why you're fearful. Like, what's the worst thing can happen? It's interesting how fear is, and I love, I watch a lot of Seinfeld, because one of my things I do for peace management is laugh. I like to laugh. And so Jerry Seinfeld talks about fear and the statistics of what scares people the most. And you know what number one fear people have is?
Public speaking.
Public speaking. And you know what number two is?
Jumping out of an airplane.
Death.
Oh.
Number 2 is death. So I steal Jerry Seinfeld's line because he says, if you have to be at a funeral, you'd rather be in the coffin than giving the eulogy. But the truth of the matter is, fear is just how you perceive something, right? And so you have to, you know, if you want to overcome that so that you don't live in that, you have to then try something that might feel a little fearful, and then fear is overcome by taking that action in that direction. So, don't be afraid to try to do the advanced plan. And don't be afraid to try a little workout, right? Don't be afraid to try a few things. So the action steps, natural health doesn't just fall in your lap. It's just something you master. Get your spine checked if you haven't already, and do your home exercises. Practice makes permanent. Practice makes permanent. It's a lifestyle. It's not just a we say it's a 30-day challenge, but the 30-day challenge is to change your lifestyle, right? Going in that direction, not just to do it only for 30 days. People with the best lives make the best choices, right? Sometimes when you're making a choice, you have to think about, is this feeding what I want or what I don't want when you make that choice? In order to do better, you have to be better. Right? The do, be, have attitudes, right, are the things that if you want something, you have to be that something and make that happen in the first place. I like to give you guys a little bit of resources. Our upcoming events that we have going on, I already told you about the Shop at the Dock and the recipe night. We also have a dinner coming up. The dinner is on Monday the 28th, so this Monday coming up. The dinner is an opportunity for you guys to share what you just learned today with somebody you love and care about. How many people sitting here right now think about somebody that you know you wish would have been here to learn what you just learned? Right? And you wouldn't be human if you weren't thinking that there's somebody that you know needs to know this very same stuff. And that's what the dinners are for. Dinners are, you can bring up to 5 guests to the dinner. Dinner's on me. And I spend about 15 or 20 minutes just explaining what Maximize Living is, what we do, how we help people, and I answer their questions. Because I don't expect that you'll be able to go tell somebody about what we do here and then tell them how and why it all works. But I do expect that you'd be able to say, hey, why don't you come and have dinner with my doctor? She really knows a lot of things, and I think she can help you, right? And if they come to the dinner, now I can explain why chiropractic care fixes asthma and allergies and hay fever and sinus problem, right? I can do that part. You guys just bring them there. And the worst that can happen is they have free dinner. That's all. That's the worst that can happen. That's pretty good. I did a terrible job of trying to get my Connect stuff on there, but I want you guys to know that if you ask Lorena or look at our front desk, we have a YouTube page now where this got recorded, and in a couple days will be playing. So if you want to look at that, we also have a Facebook page where you're constantly getting resources. So we want you to be fed with the stuff that you just learned right now instead of the stuff that's on Facebook right now, which is negative stuff instead of positive stuff. Right, and so we're gonna do that. And then I put raffle time up there. Guess why? I always forget. So today I remembered. So it's raffle time is right. So when you guys leave, we are going to be able to, I did talk about this. We are going to be able to go revisit. If you want to get products are 15% off, but you have to put the order in for them tonight. And if you don't take them with you or anything, you want to just turn in your form tonight, you can do that, or they'll ring you up and give you what you have, what you're picking tonight. Also, if you're interested in doing this, they have the sign-up sheet for this at the front desk. Just let the girls know. We're not putting that sign-up sheet out just for everybody to put their name on, because we only want people who are really serious about doing this to sign up, because we're all serious about getting it done. So we don't want to just, don't put your name on there unless you're serious about getting the thermography done and paying $155 for it, right? Let's see, what else can I tell you? Raffle time.
Did everyone fill one out for Norwich that wanted to, or does someone still need to get one in? Do you want to fill one out? Just 2 people?
I'll do my tickets while you do that.
4 people?
Okay, I'll do one.
5?
All kinds of people over there. Okay, you guys got your red tickets handy? What are we giving away? What am I doing with this?
Put it on my sticker.
You want me to do this first? Okay. So we got lots of different prizes. Here, let's put them up here. We can kind of lay them out. doTERRA is donating for our raffle a lavender hand sanitizer, as well as a tea tree hand sanitizer. You want to tell how you use those?
when I go out, like if I'm in a restaurant and after I read the menu, I use hand sanitizer before I eat. If I'm out hiking, I will use a hand sanitizer if I have a snack that I want to eat. So I keep it with me in my purse.
So it's non-toxic and doesn't have any antibiotic.
Right. It has a little bit of aloe in it,
And then the last one is lemon oil.
which is also a great detox. And I add a couple drops in my water,
It smells really great.
and it's a mood enhancer. Yep, lemon's very popular.
I use these oils sometimes too as my deodorant. I use a deodorant called Lavalin. You can write that down. You'd have to look it up on Amazon. It's a really thick kind of pasty thing that you put on and it lasts like 3 or 4 days. I found it really fun to put a couple drops of doTERRA in with it because it makes it a little bit smoother to rub in and then you smell yummy like essential oils. It's really fun. Okay, first prize is going to be a lavender hand sanitizer and it's going to number 747740.
Yeah.
Yay!
Alright.
That's a prize. Ta-da! There you go. That's like it yourself. Oh, are you very welcome? Okay, the next prize we have is for, let's do the lemon essential oil. And it's number 747737. Yay! Sweet. You're like the winner girl.
I know, I'm like the winner girl.
Okay, and my next one is for the tea tree hand sanitizer. Can't talk. And that's number 747759. Oh, really? Good job. So yours are Amber's, I'm just telling you. Okay, good. I was gonna tell her.
No, I put a name on her too.
Okay, good. Okay, and then the last one that I have, and then we'll do the Norwex one, is a detox system. This is a 2-vitamin detox system that if you've not detoxed before, we think it's really important that you do that at least once in your lifetime. Usually, this is a month supply, and we usually recommend you do 3 months worth, but it's also very mild. It's not one of those detoxes that makes you feel like you gotta run to the bathroom and, not have any company for 5 days. So the winner of the detox system is 747760. Like a happy camper too.
Did I not tell you you were gonna win?
Yeah, you did not.
She did. She goes, I'm gonna get the winning ticket. I said, yes, you are.
You want to draw? Where'd she go? Oh, she's over there. You ready?
Nope, not yet, almost.
Last one.
Oh, I can feel that air conditioner blowing now. You guys blow a lot of hot air out.
Who's been doing all the talking?
Not me.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to come out.
Yes, you. It was funny too. All right, and somebody else want to draw this? You get your prize. Yeah. Let's see who should draw this. Somebody besides me. I don't know why. I tried to mix them all up so the people that just went on the top are not.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Right on the top, and then I didn't want to just go and grab one over the bottom.
Can I drop one? You wanna put it in that bowl? That's a good idea.